4 billion resource loot march. Alright, so I had made my T15 siege machines a few weeks back, and I had geared up my Amir Tamir. And then we had an SVS, and I didn't have anyone I could get a good loot hit on. So then we had this current SVS that we just had, and someone, a guy I talk to every few days in another alliance, he messages me about people that are unbubbled during SVS sometimes, and so he sent me this message. We talked for a little bit afterwards. He sent me a message, but I didn't see it till like 30 or 40 minutes later. And anyways, I just want to show this guy's message real quick. He's basically, yeah, so where is it? We talked for a while. Okay, yeah, so he's basically saying that this guy has 10 billion RSS, and he linked me his, oh no, it's way up here. Anyways, I don't know where it's at. Anyway, he messaged me, this guy's got resources, he's on bubble, go hit him up. I saw it like 30 minutes later. I was like, oh shit, is this guy still there? I click on the little location, the guy was still there, and he had them resources. Alright, where are we at? Those defenses lost, or I had 5 gatherers out. Guy found 3 of them. Alright, where are we at here? I want to show how many resources my march can pull in with a max hit. Okay, so this guy, I think it's this. Is it this guy? I think it's this guy right here. Okay, so it took me 4 hits to clear him. So like, what I do, normally I have my marches set up for like a reasonable power exchange for like mostly T11, T12s, then some T13s, 14s, and 15s if I have them. I have 2 of the troop T15s unlocked. But if I find someone, so this guy started off with, he's like 2.2 billion power. So this is what I'm looking for during the server war. Usually they're a very strong T1 trap. So if I find that, I change all my loot or all my march presets to using mostly the top tier. So mostly T15 or T14, then some T14s, T13s, T12s. I change all my march presets, and then if I haven't used my castle buffs, I'll use my castle buffs. I'll use my dragon talents that give me more damage or march size. I'll turn on my 10-minute shit, 200% march size buff, etc., etc. Make sure I have Japan culture, and then I'll just go hit them as many times as I possibly can. Because the thing is these keeps perform, these T1 trap keeps. Well, let me see how many T1s. Let's see how many T1s he had. But T1 traps keeps, they perform exceptionally well against mostly T11 marches, but they don't perform that well against T14s and T15s. Let's see how many T1s he has. So he's got 300 million T1s. So out of his 2.2 billion power, 600 million of it was T1 mounted. Alright, so anyways, let's see how many, like right after this win. So I'll have one of my presets as Amir Tamir and Attila the Hun. But the thing is that from the last time I ever got some good loot hits, my Amir Tamir had no gear, and it was with T14 siege. So I've been waiting until I got a good loot hit. So as soon as I see an attacks 1, I want to send in my Amir Tamir march. but the guy has resources, so I also want to attack him, you know, as fast as possible, as many times as possible, because I don't know how much time I'm going to have before he bubbles up. So this is my regular siege march, which is like mostly T15s, T14s, and T13s, right? So it's pulling in 2.1 billion total. So then I think I hit him with, but I want that second win attack to be my Amir Tamir. So this is only pulling in, so my range troop march, it's only pulling in just barely over $1 billion. I think this fourth one is the Amir Tamir. Yeah, check this out. Amir Tamir and Attila. So 2.8 billion. I got the billies, yo. I got the billies. So that's the first time I've seen a 2 billion loot hit in a battle report of mine. So this is 3.6, 3.8. I'm gonna be in when I make some more changes. The next gem returning event, and I re-roll his gear. Like he has like another like 70-80% he can gain. I'm gonna be pulling in. When I find someone I clear that's got resources, I'm gonna be able to take 4 billion at a time. So I can get 10% more. Well, this can roll up to 30 because of Civ gear. So I can get another like 15 or so percent, and then another 20. Yeah, I can get like another 40% on this piece, and then I have those are all gold. Yeah, I can get another like 30 something percent on this piece, and then I'm gonna get him to 3 stars for 10% more march size. Once I do those things, I'll be able to pull in 4 billion. That'll be good. I mean, what you gotta do, you gotta take those resources as fast as possible. Especially if you're on their server, they can bubble up. So yeah, that guy was giving me resources for days. I mean, honestly, after the Amir Tamir hit him, he didn't have much left, but he still had a shit ton of stone. Let me go back to that. Let me go back to that report. He still kept giving me stone for a while. So where's the Amir Tamir hit? Yeah, he kept giving me 1 billion stone for like, I think it's like 2 more hits. Okay, so that took all the wood and all the ore he had, and then he gave me, yeah, 1 billion stone, 1 billion stone. Okay, so he was cleared. But it took me, yeah, the 6 win hits. It took me 6 win hits to take all of his resources. So the guy was obviously, unbubbled and AFK. That's the best situation you could possibly have. I want them unbubbled, and I want them AFK. Because it takes, like, if I look from the amount of time from the first attack to the last attack, let's check that out. 2852 until I got all the resources. How about until I got the last of the resources? Yeah, okay, so I took all the resources on this hit. 2842 to 2824. So that's like, was it 2842 or 2852? That's 42 seconds if it was 42. Oh, it's 2852. So 32, it took me 32 seconds to zero him and take all his resources. Where, the guy must have been AFK, because if he wasn't AFK, you only have like 3 seconds. You might have a few more seconds if the guy is like, getting hit, looking at his PvP report, trying to heal troops in his hospital. Like, that's why you got to use the higher level troops. If you want to zero somebody and take their resources, you got to use the higher level troops, because they'll just out heal you in the hospital if you're using like T11s, T12s, unless you're like, a much higher keep and you have 3,000% buffs. But if you're around my level where I'm at, like mid 2,000 buffs, you got to use the higher level troops. Because if I was using my regular March presets, which like I said was it's mostly like T11, T12s, and like 500,000, 500,000, 500,000 all the way up, then it probably would have taken me like 7 or 8 hits to get a win. It would have taken me twice as many hits. So I only have 2 of the T15s unlocked. I'm unlocking ground troops next, but once I have all the T15s, once I have the ranged and the ground troops unlocked, woo! Yeah, once I have ranged and ground troops T15s, I'm gonna be stealing so many people's resources. But I finally get to see what those T15 siege and that gear on the Emir Tamir could do. Hell yeah. Take those resources. Like, if it's SVS, and I'm just willy-nilly attacking people for points, and I'm losing my sources of life, healing myself, like, if I'm not converting my sources of life into resources, then what the fuck am I doing? What am I doing? Get those sources of life. I mean, sources of life, they are a resource. You got to turn them into usable resources. I've wasted so many sources of life in the past. Now, like, I used to attack everybody. Like, anyone we saw, any fucking keep, I just attack them to see how my marches would do against them. Even if they were around my power or close to it or slightly higher, I'd attack them with each of my marches once just to see how my marches would do. I don't do that shit anymore. That's such a waste of waste of souls. Oh shit, I've wasted hundreds of thousands of souls in the past. Now I just, SVS starts, I go over there, I hit any unbubbled keep. If it's a keep like level 35 or higher, I scout it first. Otherwise, I'm just hitting every single thing I see. And then after that, I start scouting things. If they don't have resources, they get reinforcements, no resources, I don't even touch them. So if you a T1 trap, I suggest if you're a T1 trap and you want to get hit, you want to get some points, you want to get hit by me, you want to incentivize me to attack you, you got to open up a bunch of resources. Have a whole ton of plunderable resources available that if I do clear your ass and you fuck up and you get fucking took, you get took. It's going to be your fault. But that's what I suggest. If you want me to attack you, you got to have some resources for me if I do. That's what you got to do. I was just talking to somebody. I was just recently talking to somebody like an hour ago from the server we just had the war with. Our SVS ended a few hours ago. But they were asking me why I didn't attack them. And I told them it's because they were telling me thanks for not attacking them when they were on one of our temples. And I told them it's because they didn't have any resources. Hold on a second. Let me scroll up in here. They wanted to talk about my rally march, my march size for some reason. Let's see. Okay, here we go. I think it's right here. Oh no. Hold on. Hold on. Yeah, here it is. I try not to go after people now that have RSS to steal. I should have said, I meant to say that don't have RSS to steal. I just want to acknowledge that I know you could have popped me at the temple, cleaned my clock, even with their K42 next to me, and they had rains. Thanks for not doing it. And I was telling them, well, it's because he didn't have any resources, but for some reason I didn't put don't. Turn my souls into RSS. That's what I'm looking to do. She's saying only a couple of our members on our server were actually fighting. So that's why you didn't hit me. My plunderables are so low. Indeed. For sure. I mean, why even if I'm attacking, if I'm already over the 500 million points and I already got all the rewards, what's the point of attacking somebody that's being reigned by a K42? Like, if she had billions of resources, I would have done the same thing. I would have used my castle buffs. I would have used my dragon talents. I would have swapped all my presets to mostly the higher level troops, and I would have tried to zero their asses and steal some resources. But they didn't have any resources. If they ain't gonna give me nothing, and they're gonna get a favorable power exchange from having rains, and you know, if Tamir can't get into the action, if he can't get in the action, well, then we're just not going to participate. That's what it comes down to in SVS for me now. If Emir Tamir can't be sent in, if he can't participate, well, it's just not going to happen. So I'll have him min-maxed out. He'll gain 70% more. He'll gain 70% more. And then I'll get that 10% march size. I think in total I'll get like 7 or 8% more over what I'm at. So that should push me over 4 billion. So I'll make definitely, you know, whenever I'm getting a higher resource stealing fucking battle report, next time I get a higher battle report with more fucking siege machine load, I'll make another video about it. Hell yeah.